There's been a lot of reporting about this Vanity Fair article, right? This article where Susie Wiles basically spills the tea on some of the folks in the Trump administration. Um, and it's really good reporting. The Vanity Fair reporter did an excellent job reporting this. He apparently had 11 interviews with Susie Wiles. He recorded. He in an interview with Anderson Cooper yesterday, we find out that he recorded every one of those interviews. He clearly asked Susie Wiles. He's a consummate professional. This particular reporter, he's profiled many White House chiefs of staff. He knows what he's doing. He clearly made it clear that this interview was on the record. Susie Wiles is now arguing that it's not, and it was a disingenuous hit piece. It clearly was not a disingenuous hit piece. Um, there's just one quick point that I want to make about this because I'm sure if you haven't seen the article, go to VanityFair.com. There's no paywall up for being able to read this article. It's worth it to read it. It's worth it to hear directly from Susie Wiles' mouth what it is that she said about members of the Trump administration, than to read sort of NBC or CBS or CNN's news highlights about what she said. Read it for yourself. It's a relatively long piece, but it's completely worth the time it takes to read it. There's one thing that I want to make clear. I think the news media is missing, the legacy news media, in this matter, because they seem to be portraying Susie Wiles as like the normal person in the room, as the adult in the room, as the sane person in the space, right? Susie is crazy, right? They're all crazy. Susie is incompetent. They're all incompetent. Susie, in her own way, by being a part of this disgusting administration, is profane. They're all profane. I am glad that for whatever reason, whether she was mad on a particular day and she wanted to share some shit about certain members of the cabinet, even to the point where she referred to the village idiot as having an alcoholic personality, right? It validates someone from the inside, validates everything we already know about Donald Trump and the goofballs that surround him, right? It's not like she didn't tell us anything we don't already know, but it was good to hear somebody from the inside validate it. But this narrative that seems to be playing out in legacy media, that she's like the normal one, that she's not as crazy as the rest of them, that she's not as corrupt, as profane, as disgusting as the rest of them, that strikes me as disingenuous, to repeat that term. I find her just as deplorable as the rest of the members of the Trump administration and as Donald Trump himself. Just because, for whatever reason, maybe she was mad one day at J.D. Vance, and maybe she was mad at Pam Bondi one day, and maybe she was even on one day, although she praised him later, was mad at the village idiot on a particular day, right? Maybe that's why she, spilled the tea on those folks and a few others in these very subtle ways, right? Maybe that's what got her to say some things that were true. But they're all a bunch of rats on a sinking ship that are cornered. They're all a bunch of cornered rats on a sinking ship. They're all going to turn on each other. They are all going to, they're all corrupt, unfit for business in the White House, just low caliber people. And I don't know. I just feel like in my own little corner of the internet, it is imperative for me to try to clear up this nonsensical narrative that Susie Wiles is sane, or is any more sane than the rest of them, or is somehow more fit for her job or of a higher quality of humanity. She's not. She knows exactly what she's involved in. She chooses to be part of this administration. She chose to be part of the campaign. She could have never risen to the level of the White House ever, 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 even with a career in politics, because of her ineptitudes, her unfitness, and clearly because of her own sick fucking ideology. So so that's all. That's the post. Thank you for your attention to this matter.